Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. You can subscribe to the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network by going to Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com. You can go to TuneIn, you can go to Stitcher, and I guess you can no longer go to Google Podcasts. Something's wrong with the situation over at Google Podcasts, and I don't know why we're no longer on that app, but we're no longer there. But we are definitely on Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. So make sure you can go there for that. And, of course, to hear it live, you go to Spreaker.com. You hear our broadcast live, including some broadcasts we have upcoming in the next couple of weeks. So we'll make sure we tell you about that as well. And, of course, you can always follow me on Twitter at Digital25. And, of course, I can be reached by email, beltwayboxing@hotmail.com. Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain to muscle strain, everything in between, Boxing Law on the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, we have great jewelry on that site, and also great weight loss tips without dieting, eating real food along the way on Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Don't forget to click the sites on Best Buy and Amazon, and you can buy your purchases on Best Buy and Amazon through boxingonthebeltway.blogspot.com, and you can help us keep this podcast and this blog going for you. Well, a couple things going on this week. We have a recap of a bout that took place this past week, and also we'll preview the Saturday, October 29th card from the Signation card from Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland, and also we will tell you the newest inductees into the Washington, D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. We'll tell you about that as well. And we also have some wrestling tributes that we have to give out as well. Well, we had a tough loss this past week for Zarbek Triple Z Nishinbayev. This was on Thursday, October 18th, and this was at the card that the press is now allowed to go to, the Alarm.com fight night that was held at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. So only held for the company employees. And Nishinbayev lost the third-round knockout to Gledwin Ortiz of the Bronx, New York. No official time of the knockout was given, but it was a tough bout according to the promoter for the card, the matchmaker for the card, J.D. Brown. Both guys were going at it. It was a good give-and-take bout, and then Ortiz just caught Nishinbayev and knocked him out. So Nishinbayev had a 3-bout winning streak going. That is gone now. He's now 5-2, 4 KOs. Ortiz has the same record, 5-2, 4 KOs. For Ortiz, this is his first time he competed since September of 2016. Excuse me. So another great tough loss, a tough loss this time for Zarbek Nishinbayev of Arlington, Virginia, by way of, I believe, Kyrgyzstan. Tajikistan is where he's from. So, tough loss for Zarbek Nishinbayev. So that was the only update that we heard. We heard James Earl was scheduled to be on a card in Charlotte, North Carolina, but apparently he was not on the card, or no result came out. So as soon as we find out, we'll try to pass that on to you. Now, here's the update for the card that will take place this coming Saturday, October 29th at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. This is the Signation Sports Promotions card that was scheduled to take place in late September. And, of course, if you had tickets for late September, they're still good for this card coming up this Saturday. Now, number of featured contests. No word yet on who the official main event is going to be. But we'll just give you some of the featured contests. One of them will be a 6-round welterweight bout. I think we talked about this last week, between Shingaskan Tazabai of D.C. and Juan de la Cruz Rodriguez of Haymarket, Virginia. Tazabai, as we said, 7-0, 2 KOs, coming off a 4-round unanimous decision over Justin Johnson on September 14th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Excuse me. Now, Tazabai's last 5 bouts have all been unanimous decision wins. He'll be competing in a 6-round bout for the first time in his career. So that's interesting. Tazabai only has 2 knockouts. Those were in his first 2 bouts. But ever since then, I won't say things have been a struggle because some of them have been easy, but some of them have not been. And I know, as we said last week, a few of his bouts, he has not been very, very happy with some of his performances. So we shall see. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. Rodriguez is 8-11-1, 6 KOs, looking to break a 4-bout losing streak that included a 6-round unanimous decision defeat to Janelson Boca Chica on October 6th in Louisville, Kentucky. So he just fought not too long ago. Rodriguez will compete against an undefeated opponent for the 3rd straight time. So that'll be interesting as well. But in many ways, Rodriguez has been where Tazabai has not been. In other words, he has fought 6 and 8 round bouts before, scheduled 8 round bouts before, where Tazabai has not. So that's where the interesting situation really lies in this bout between Shingas Khan Tazabai and Juan de la Cruz Rodriguez. So that'll be one of the feature contests on that card. Also, Baltimore, Maryland lightweight Jamal Dyer, he'll be in his first scheduled 6-rounder. Take on veteran Jesse Carradine of Las Vegas, Nevada by way of Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, after losing his first pro contest on February 24th, Dyer has scored 2 straight knockout victories. His last time out, he scored a 4th-round TKO over Marcus Lugo. That was on September 8th in Atlantic City, New Jersey. But Carradine will be the most experienced foe that Dyer has faced. Carradine is 8-5-2 with 4 KOs. Now, Carradine, however, has only fought once since October 2014. He lost a 4-round majority decision to Anton Slaughter on July 28th in Columbus, Ohio. Carradine is winless in his last 5 bouts over a 6-year period. So that'll be one of the bouts. Jamal Dyer taking on Jesse Carradine. And of course, we had the bout we've been talking about off and on for a while on the blog, on the podcast. That is District Heights, Maryland super middleweight Jason Bell taking on Cenk Plana of Hagerstown, Maryland. Both men moving to the 6-round mark after a short time in their careers. Bell is just 3-0, 1 KO. Last fought in October 2017, won a 4-round unanimous decision over Alan Stevenson. That was at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. Now, Plana is a native of Armenia. I believe that's actually Albania, not Armenia. He's actually a native of Albania. And he's 1-0, 1 KO. But he hasn't fought since he won a pro debut back in October 27th of 2017. Won a first-round TKO over Damon Kirby in D.C. That was on last year's Alarm.com card at the Mayflower Hotel. So that's one bout. Jason Bell taking on Cenk Plana. Jason Bell's twin brother, that's Justin Bell. He'll be in a 4-round bout against DeAndre West of Lynchburg, Virginia. Justin Bell is 3-0, 2 KOs. He hasn't fought since October 2017 either, and that was at the card of the ABC Sports Complex. He scored a 2nd-round TKO over Ben D. Williams, and Bell, as I said, 3-0, 2 KOs. West lost his pro debut in August of 2017 as he dropped a 4-round unanimous decision to Sumner Martin in Lynchburg, Virginia. Also on the card, Hagerstown, Maryland super welterweight Jonathan Burrs takes on Brian Costello of Humacao, Puerto Rico. That's about scheduled for 4 rounds. Burr is 0-1, lost his pro debut to James Martin on August 10th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, in his pro debut, Costello was in a no contest on August 11th in Salisbury, North Carolina. So that's one card. Jonathan Burrs taking on Brian Costello. Then also Alexander, Virginia heavyweight George Harris makes his pro debut on this card. He battles veteran Damian Reed of Danville, Virginia in a 4-rounder. Harris competed in the 2017 Golden Glove Regionals, lost in that bout, but still competed. Reed is 3-18-1, 1 KO, but he's 1-3 against Beltway boxers, dropping bouts to Sam Crossett, Albie Sadikaj, and Mario Murphy, but he defeated Terry Roy. So there may be one other bout scheduled for that card, but as far as we know, as right now, that is the card that will take place on Saturday, October 29th at the Red Rose Carpway in Fort Washington, Maryland. We're going to try to do double duty that night. I'm the ring announcer for that card, but I'm also going to try, Juan and I will be there. We're going to try to put a broadcast together during that card as well. So look forward to hearing from you and talking to you from Rose Clark Raceway on Saturday, October 29th. Now, this week they've announced it off and on throughout the last week. This is the first time we got it all together for the upcoming DC Boxing Hall of Fame ceremony that'll take place Friday, November 9th. This will be at Martin's Crosswinds in Greenbelt, Maryland. And I got to say this off the bat. This is one of the best classes of Hall of Famers for DC Boxing Hall of Fame that I can remember in a long time. This is a who's who all the way down the line, from the pro champions, pro inductees, through the amateurs, even through the outstanding contributors that are announced. We'll announce all of those today. But this is an amazing class. And it's headlined by 4 former world champions. If you combine all the world championships they won, we're talking 10 world titles between these 4 inductees. And quite frankly, I'm a little surprised that a couple of these guys weren't already in the Hall of Fame. I was shocked when I found out that they're not in the Hall of Fame. They weren't in the Hall of Fame yet. So, but it's a great class, no question about that. And it starts off, of course, with the International Boxing Hall of Famer. That is indeed Mark Too Sharp Johnson, 3-time world champion. He'll be inducted into the DC Hall. Now, after losing his second pro fight, we've gone over his story a lot, but just for those who have not heard Mark Johnson's story, we've done podcasts devoted to his story. After losing his second pro fight in March 1990, Johnson reeled off 27 consecutive victories that led to his first world opportunity. And boy, that was a struggle. You know, we talked about the time that he was just the most avoided boxer in all of boxing, pound for pound. And that was indeed Mark Too Sharp Johnson at one time. But finally, he got a first world opportunity, title opportunity. And on May 4th, 1996, Johnson captured the vacant IBF flyweight title, stunning first round knockout over former world champion Francisco Teodoro at the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. Now, again, if you remember that bout, I mean, Johnson hit Teodoro, and Teodoro fell down through looked like delayed reaction. And Johnny went, he just couldn't get up. It was just incredible. No question about that. So that was finally his first world title. Johnson would defend that world title 7 times, including a very impressive first round stoppage of Arthur Flash Johnson. That was at the DC Armory back on February 22nd, 1998. We're coming up on, actually, we passed the 20th anniversary of that particular day. And I gotta tell you something, one of the greatest days that I can remember in my career of covering Beltway boxing. Just a tremendous event. I've talked about it many times. Talked about how Johnson in his contract had Discombobulating Jones as the main event. We got some information on Discombobulating Jones. We're going to pass on a little bit too. We'll do that a little bit later on. But excuse me. Johnson had it in his contract that Jones must be the ring announcer for that card, and he also got some money out of his purse. Had to take some money out of his purse to get the bout at DC Armory in the first place. But it was a packed house. Place was going berserk. Johnson came in on a throne and then subsequently knocked out Johnson in the first round. Incredible. Now, Johnson would move up to the super flyweight division, win the IBF version of that title with a 12-round unanimous decision over a guy that's, I guess, now using his birth name, which is Chaya Pothang. Back then, he was known as Tanachai Sorvorpin. And that took place on the Triple Jeopardy card, April 24th, 1999, at the now Capital One Arena in D.C. It used to be the MCI Center or Verizon Center. And that's coming up on the 20th anniversary of that card. We got to talk about that one. No question about that next year. On August 16, 2003, Johnson would capture the WBO version of the 115-pound title with a 12-round majority decision over Fernando Montiel. That was at Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut. The ring would later name Mark Johnson the top flyweight of the entire decade of the 1990s. And, of course, the International Boxing Hall of Fame inducted him in 2012. And at 40 years old, when he was inducted, Johnson is the youngest selection into the Hall of Fame. So Mark Too Sharp Johnson will go into the DC Boxing Hall of Fame, and maybe that'll lead him to be in the DC Hall of Stars and some of the tributes that he has yet to receive in his own hometown. Maybe this will be the first of many for Mark Too Sharp Johnson. We'll see that one. Now, another guy that I've always believed should be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and I've never understood why he's never come up. His name never comes up when we talk about Hall of Famers. But he's going into the DC Boxing Hall of Fame, another 3-time world champion. He's indeed Simon Montekia Brown. Now, Brown was a native of Clarendon, Jamaica. Brown's record was 47-2, 34 KOs. I gave Johnson's record. It was 44-5, 28 KOs, his final record. But Brown, who was 47-12, 34 KOs, he'd moved to DC as a young man. As I have said before, my late father, Russell Williams, was a teacher at Lincoln, was in Lincoln Junior High School back in those days, and he taught Simon Brown as a young man. Brown would make his pro debut in February 1982 and fight many of his bouts in Atlantic City. He was in the Atlantic City mode. He was just fighting all through Atlantic City, mostly at the Tropicana Hotel. Brown won 21 straight bouts before he lost his first contest, which was a 12-round split decision to Marlon Starling. That was for the USBA welterweight title back in November of 1985 in Atlantic City. However, Brown would bounce back quickly, win his next 3 contests, and he would earn his first world title shot. He would travel all the way to Berck-sur-Mer, France, to face Tyrone Trice for the IBF welterweight championship on April 23rd, 1988. I remember this bout so well because it was on CBS Sports, and it was a tremendous bout. And Brown would score a 14th round TKO to win his first world title. Brown would have 8 successful title defenses, including a rematch with Trice on April 1st in 1990 at DC Army. And that's a very significant date for me personally, because that was the very first world championship bout that I ever covered. Simon Brown was the first world champion that I had the really chance to cover when I started covering boxing some 35 years ago. And I was at the bout at the DC Armory. I'll never forget, I had a chance to meet Bert Sugar that day. Actually, my father and I took Bert Sugar to his hotel. And so many things I remember about that bout. The place was good crowd that day at the DC Armory. And Simon Brown won it. No question about that. Defended his title. Once again, it was April 1st, 1990 at the DC Armory. He scored 10th round TKO. Now, Brown would be on a collision course with his best friend, who was Maurice Blocker. And Blocker at that time was the WBC welterweight champion. And finally, on March 18th, 1991, the two would meet at the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas, and Brown would knock out Blocker in the 10th round to win both the WBC and the IBF titles. Brown would eventually move up to the super welterweight division, 154 pounds, and he would score and this is one of the main reasons why I believe Simon Brown should be in the Hall of Fame. Not only was he just a dominant welterweight when he was welterweight world champion, he moved up to the super welterweight division, and he scored the upset of the year by Ring Magazine when he knocked out Terry Norris in the 4th round on December 18th in 1993 in Puebla, Mexico. He captured the WBC 154-pound title. So a tremendous win. Norris is now a Hall of Famer, and I really do believe that he really belongs in that class, if nothing else, because of that win right there. In the last stage of his career, Brown faced some of the best in the business. He faced Vincent Petway. Of course, we've talked about that bout in the Beltway Brawl. He also faced Bernard Hopkins, Aaron Superman Davis, and Lonnie Bradley. So I definitely believe he belongs in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, but Simon Brown is a tremendous Beltway boxing legend. I'm really glad to see him honored by the DC Boxing Hall of Fame. And I'm also glad to see this guy who I rode up and down the roads with in the Beltway for many, many years, and one of the classiest and one of the nicest people you ever want to meet, as are Simon and Mark. But right up there is William Joppy, another 3-time world champ, and he'll be in the DC Boxing Hall of Fame. Joppy, who was 40 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws, and 30 KOs, he was a stalwart in the middleweight division. No question about that. He began his career in February of 1993 and would have a 22-0-1 record. 0-1 record in his first 23 bouts. That one draw was really kind of a controversial one against Rodney Tony. I remember that one very well, and I really thought Joppy should have won it, but he has it, man. On June 24th, 1996, Joppy would travel to Yokohama, Japan. Now, again, we talked about how the Four Kings won their world titles. And I just remember Joppy and his manager, J.D. Brown, had so much confidence that they were going to win this bout against Takahara. Takahara hadn't fought a whole lot of great people, and they had fought nobody the caliber of William Joppy. and Takahara had no chance against Joppy. Joppy walked into Yokohama, Japan, and took care of business, scored a 9th round TKO to win the WBA middleweight championship. Now, after 2 successful title defenses, Joppy lost the title in a really bad loss, controversial loss to Julio Cesar Green. That was on August 23rd, 1997 in Madison Square Garden. And there's no way in the world Joppy lost that bout. I mean, that was just a huge robbery in that situation. And Joppy would rectify the situation on January 31st, 1998, when he beat Green by unanimous decision. Joppy's next title defense, once he won the title for the second time, would be against the legendary Roberto Duran, and that was on August 28th, 1998. That was one of Duran's last bouts, and definitely a shell of his former self, and Joppy would defeat the aging Duran by 3rd round TKO. Now, in January of 1999, Joppy suffered injuries in an automobile accident. I knew he had a broken back, and it was a terrible situation, but Joppy returned just 8 months later to defend his title in a 3rd bout against Green. That was on September 24th, 1999. Now, Joppy was scheduled to be on the Triple Jeopardy card in April, but his injuries would not allow him to do it. But he did come back for the next card that was approximately 5 months later, September 24th, 1999 at Capital One Arena. And he would defend, win by unanimous decision over Green that time. Joppy lost the WBA title to Felix Trinidad on May 12th, 2001. And that was during the middleweight championship series. We talked about that. There's a whole podcast devoted to that. Great bout that was. I actually went to that bout in Madison Square Garden. But he came back and won the WBA title for a 3rd time with a 12-round majority decision over Howard Eastman. That was on November 17th, 2001 in Las Vegas. What happened was Hopkins had moved up to what was called the Super Champion, and Joppy would fight Duran Eastman for the regular title, and that's how that took place. Now Joppy never considers that a world championship. I do, but I think it's definitely a world champion, no question about that. So I always say he has 3 world championships, and he challenged later on for the super middleweight title and also for light heavyweight title. Though he lost to Lucien Boutte and Beibut Shumanov in those situations before his career ended. His career didn't end until 2011. So maybe this is why it's taking so long for him to be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm glad he's there. Again, one of the classiest guys. And what's great about Brown, Johnson, and Joppy, all 3 of them now are training boxers. Johnson trains his boxers, the Sharpshooter Gym. He's following the footsteps of his great father, Ham Johnson. And great to see that. Brown, after living on the West Coast for a while, recently came back to the area. He set up his Simon Brown Boxing Academy in Hagerstown, Maryland. And of course, 2 of his boxers will be, actually one of his boxers will be, 2 of his boxers will be on the card on September 29th. Pardon me, I'm sorry. Got some things in my mouth that I'm trying to get out of. But on September 29th, Brown is scheduled to have both Cenk Plana and Jonathan Burrs on that card at Cy Nation on Saturday, October 29th. And Joppy is training boxers at Champions Gym in Rockville. Of course, one of his big guys is the regional champion, Alexandru Spartan Marine. He's working with him on that. So they're all giving back to this community after their great careers. Now, the 4th former world champion had a short career, but she is definitely a pioneer in the women's division, and I'm glad she's here because of that. That's Lisa Too Fierce Foster Cohen. Now, Lisa Foster, back in those days, was a great boxer. Again, just a 6-year career. She was 6-5-1, 2 KOs, but she won one of the big belts in the women's division. She won the IFBA, which is the International Female Boxing Association Super Bantamweight title, scoring a 9th round TKO over Kathy Williams back on May 15th, 2002 in Kenner, Louisiana. And Foster also challenged for the WIBF title during her career. She was trained by the legendary late Eugene Thunder Hughes, and it was really tough finding bouts for her back in those days. I remember talking to her about that, and she did a lot with her career, even though it was relatively short. And during that time, she also had a gym, Lisa Foster's Gym. Too Fierce Gym. And she's gone on to write books. She's an entrepreneur. She has a lot of great things with her post-boxing career. She's done an outstanding job. And she is the second female boxer to be inducted into the DC Boxing Hall of Fame. She joins Israel Girgir-Win, who was inducted in 2009, which is basically the same year that I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it's really great to see. So those are the pros that are being inducted into the Washington, D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, in the amateur boxing division, one tremendous trainer and a great boxer. The trainer is Patrice Boogie Harris. Now, Harris has been a major trainer out of the Headbangers Gym, Washington, D.C. He actually followed Barry Hunter into the D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame from the Headbangers, and that's great to see. He worked with some great, he has worked and continues to work with some great boxers. He's worked with, of course, Lamont Anthony Peterson and David Grayton, and of course his own son, Patrick Harris, is a tremendous boxer as well from the Headbangers Gym. And Harris, a lot of people are just finding this out, but he will have a role in the upcoming movie Creed 2, starring Michael B. Jordan, and he will be one of the trainers for Adonis Creed in that movie. And he, of course, worked with Jordan, Michael B. Jordan, and I believe he worked with the guy who plays Victor Drago, Ivan's son. That's the whole plot of the story, that Apollo Creed, the man who killed Apollo Creed, his son will take on Adonis Creed. So that's the big plot of that movie, and you see there's a lot of, in the trailers, you see a lot of Patrice Harris, Boogie Harris, working out with Michael B. Jordan in that movie, and you see all the great mitt work that Patrice Harris, should say, is so famous for. So congratulations to Patrice Boogie Harris. Also, Anthony the Beast Suggs will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Suggs has a great story. He was, of course, an amateur boxing champion. At one time, he was ranked number 1 in the country and number 4 in the world, and really looked like he was on his way to being a part of the 1988 Olympic team, which means he would join another Beltway boxer, a guy who just got into the DC Boxing Hall of Fame himself, and that's boxing Andrew Maynard. But tragedy struck. His daughter died of sudden infant death syndrome right before he was scheduled to go to the Olympic trials. And that kind of messed things up for Suggs. He was really kind of out of it. He had been dealing with drugs a little bit and really was in a tough place. He did come back as a pro, fought as a pro for a number of years. And I saw him, I never forget, one of the great bouts I remember seeing him was against Daryl Tyson at Fight Night. I believe this was back in 1993 or 93. It was 1993. And my first Fight Night, as a matter of fact. And the big thing I remember about that bout was the literally huge cloud of smoke you could see over the ring during the bout. And Daryl Tyson remember collapsing because of that big cloud of smoke. But Suggs is going on to a great post-career. He is becoming a motivational speaker and author after spending 12 years as a pro. But great boxer, Anthony the Beast Suggs, originally out of Alexandria, Virginia, but has fought tremendously well as an amateur and as a pro. Now, 4 other Beltway notables will be in the outstanding contributors section, and all 4 of these people, and one way or another, have really touched my life. Actually, everybody in this class has touched my life in one way or another, but really these 4 have been really fantastic. One of them, Brent Bovell. Now, I've talked about, and sometimes I've criticized Brent Bovell for some of the things he has done as a referee, but this guy has really worked his way to being one of the class referees in this business. He was a noted amateur and pro judge, referee and judge for many years. Bovell, on the amateur side, is one of the handful of referees in this area. I believe there are only 3 now. There were just 2 at one point. Jim McNally, the coach at the United States Naval Academy boxing team, who has recently retired as a boxing referee. He could do it. Brent Bovell can do it. And I believe Latasha Washington can do it now. she was now certified by the AIBA. So I believe she can do it now. But those are it. And Bovell can work in international and Olympic competition. In 2012, Bovell moved to the pro ranks, and he's been a third man in the ring in a number of regional title bouts over the last almost 6 years now. Again, sometimes I criticize him. I really do. But 9 times out of 10, he has done an outstanding job and has worked, again, some regional titles. And hopefully next year or so, he can start working some world title bouts in the very near future. So Brent Bovell goes into the DC Boxing Hall of Fame. One of my favorite people in this business, in this area. And I've worked with her directly over the years in some projects. And she's just an outstanding person. Tamara McKinney. She's been a prominent member of the Pony Valley Association of USA Boxing for a number of years. She has served as the lead official for numerous local amateur events, including the Washington Golden Gloves. And I've worked with her. She has a number of amateur cards. She has benefited numerous causes, especially breast cancer. And I've worked with her at some of the cards she has organized because of that. A really fantastic person. Really enjoy working with her on a regular basis. And she's in the DC Boxing Hall of Fame. David J. Norman. He is the former chair of the Maryland State Athletic Commission. Did that in the late 2000s. Oversaw a number of world and regional title bouts. And he has been outstanding. And he still serves on the commission. Very quiet man. Doesn't ask for a whole lot of fanfare. But really did an outstanding job as commissioner of the, chair, I should say, of the Maryland State Athletic Commission. He has done very, very well. So congratulations to David J. Norman. And also Mac Allison III. He's a former kickboxing champion who has trained numerous young boxers in Baltimore, Maryland. And again, talking about all the great trainers in Baltimore. You're talking about the people over at the Upton Boxing Gym, Calvin Ford, Kenny Ellis. You talk about Brother Chin at the Honeycomb Boxing Gym. You talk about David Sewell. You talk about Jake Smith. And again, Mac Allison is right up there with them. He worked at the Upton Boxing Center for 16 years. Then he went out and got his own gym, put together his own gym called Time to Grind. That was in June of this year. And among Allison's notable boxers are Malik Titus. He's won 5 straight regional Golden Glove championships. And, of course, Allison's own son, Mac Allison IV, Poppy, who was the Beltway Boxing Rookie of the Year in 2016. So those are the inductees for the upcoming DC Boxing Hall of Fame. That'll be on Friday, November 9th at Martin's Crosswinds in Greenbelt, Maryland. Martin's Crosswinds is located at 7400 Greenway Center Drive in Greenbelt, Maryland. Martin's Crosswinds. We had a lot of great time over the years watching boxing over there, and it's great to have this event coming up to take place. The full service cash bar begins at 7 p.m. and the dinner service begins at 8 p.m. Tickets are $65 per dinner. And I'm very happy and very proud and very privileged to say that yours truly will be the master of ceremonies for that event. That'll be on Friday, November 9th, 8 p.m. at Martin's Crosswinds in Greenbelt, Maryland, the DC Boxing Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. So looking forward to that. Now, some wrestling tributes. And before we get to that, let me also congratulate our very own Discombobulating Jones, who recently, speaking of Hall of Fames, and he was a 2008 inductee into the DC Boxing Hall of Fame, but he's now into the Boxing Hall of Fame in his hometown of Rochester, New York. And a couple weeks ago, he was inducted into the Rochester Boxing Hall of Fame. So again, congratulations. Again, his work. We talked about his work and the struggles he's had to go through to get where he is. And he also did a nice podcast with my good buddy Mark Gray concerning that on the Shadow League podcast series. So you may want to listen to that. He did a great interview with Mark Gray on that. But he's inducted into the Rochester Boxing Hall of Fame. So congratulations, Discombobulating Jones. And you will see Discombobulating Jones on a future Showbox telecast from Philadelphia, the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. I believe the date on that is November the 15th. And that's about the card that features Jerron Boots Ennis, who's been on this side of the Beltway many times as a pro, a couple times as a pro. But Discombobulating Jones will be the ring announcer for that card on November 15th. That'll be from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So congratulations once again to Henry Discombobulating Jones, who has been like a brother to me all throughout this this journey we've gone through in professional boxing in the Beltway. Now, finally, some wrestling tributes. We're a couple weeks late on these, and they happened actually over the last couple weeks. Two legendary boxers passed away over the past couple weeks. One was the guy known as the Mormon Giant. He's known as Don Leo Jonathan. Again, he was really, even before I had a chance to see Andre the Giant, Don Leo Jonathan was the first really big man that I had the pleasure of being able to see. He wrestled in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation for a number of years, and Bruno Sammartino called him one of the best opponents he ever had. And he was 6'6". They had him listed at 6'8" or something like that, but he was really just 6'6". But boy, that was a time where you didn't have a whole lot of big guys in the business, and it was great because he could do all sorts of flips and all sorts of drop kicks, and he was really fantastic at what he did. So just great to see that. So, and he's the battle Andre the Giant, of course, but he also would battle the likes of Bruno Sammartino and Pedro Morales, challenged them both for the world titles. But he was a great wrestler, no question about that. Don Leo Jonathan passed away, I believe he was 84 years old. Then just recently, a boxer by the name of The Unpredictable or Dirty or Mr. Electricity or The Rebel, Dick Slater, passed away. He was a tremendous boxer in his own wrestler in his own right. Wrestled primarily in the South, in the Mid-South Territory in Louisiana, but also wrestled in the Mid-Atlantic Territory. Part of some great storylines. He was part of a storyline in Mid-South. He had a tremendously beautiful-looking valet by the name of Dark Journey. She was an African-American, and they made a great team. And, of course, one day they held both the North American title as well as the TV title, and he couldn't hold both. He couldn't hold both at the time. He couldn't hold the North American Championship and the TV title. So he called a press conference and threw the TV title into the It was like a medallion, and he threw the TV title into the Arkansas River. It was incredible. But that was a great one. Of course, he was also part of the storyline that led up to Starrcade 1983, because Harley Race had put out a bounty on former world champion Ric Flair, world champion Ric Flair in the Mid-Atlantic Territory, and Dick Slater, along with Bob Orton Jr., who once was Ric Flair's friend, collected $25,000 because they put Ric Flair out of action for a little bit right before Starrcade 1983, and they were a big part of that. Again, he would go to the WWE and wrestle as the Rebel, Dick Slater. But again, another one of those Beltway, wrestlers, should say, that I saw at the NWA Legends Fan Fest back in 2011. He was in a wheelchair even then, but I saw him talking to Ole Anderson and some of the other great wrestlers that were there, and he's no longer with us. So again, the likes of Bobby Heenan, Nick Bockwinkel, Jimmy Snuka, and Dick Slater, and there are a couple others who were in that, who were at that Fan Fest, who are now no longer with us. So again, that's why I go to a lot of these things and try to talk about them while they're here and give them all the propers and try to make sure that we remember them. No question about that. So he left us, I believe he was 67 years old, Dick Slater. And of course, we do have to say our tribute and our best wishes and our prayers to Roman Reigns, who's a current wrestler. And of course, Roman Reigns earlier this week said he had leukemia. In fact, he's had leukemia for about 11 years. It was been in remission for a long time, but apparently now it is back. So Roman Reigns, of course, from the great Anoa'i family. His real name is Leati Joe Anoa'i. And Anoa'i, I think it's pronounced. And, of course, that means he's part of the family. His father is Sika, the Wild Samoan. Of course, he and his brother Alpha were a tremendous tag team, Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans. And, of course, his lineage continues with the likes of course, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Usos. Also, his brother was Rosie from 2 Minute Warning, who passed away a few years ago. Umaga was a part of that family. He's passed away, as has Yokozuna. All part of that Anoa'i family that Roman Reigns is a part of. Nia Jax is a part of it as well. So just really tough. And again, that was a heartbreaking announcement. And a lot of people are still feeling the effects of that. And we just wish Roman the very best, and he can beat this and come on back to the WWE. So, again, tough break there. No question about that. So that will do it here for Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Thank you for indulging me in those wrestling tributes as you always do. And don't forget, we will see you live from the Rosecroft Raceway, the Sign Nation Sports Promotions card. That'll be on Saturday, October 29th. And we look forward to having a broadcast from that. And again, yours truly ring announcer for that card. Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Go freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. Great jewelry. Great weight loss tips by going to Deborah, Debra Spears.com. And don't forget, go to our Best Buy and Amazon links on the blog, boxingonbeltway.blogspot.com. And you can purchase through this site. That site, purchase make your purchases through that site. So make sure you do that as well. So thanks for joining me, everybody. I'm Gary Digital Williams. My name, as always, keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.